Imagine traveling back 20 years and telling someone that SpaceX would become more successful than NASA or any major space agency. They'd probably laugh, and honestly, I might have laughed too. SpaceX was a tiny startup back then, and many thought it would go bankrupt in a few years. Fast forward to today, and SpaceX is a leader in the space industry, introducing many game-changing innovations. The most groundbreaking of all is rocket reusability. Rocket reusability means using the same rocket multiple times for different missions. This is a big deal because it cuts the cost of space travel significantly. SpaceX's journey with reusability started with the Falcon 9, launched first in 2010. The Falcon 9 was designed with reusability in mind, but making it work wasn't easy. The first few attempts to land the Falcon 9's first stage didn't go well, with rockets missing the landing target or crashing hard. But things changed on December 21, 2015, when SpaceX successfully landed the first stage of the Falcon 9 on solid ground at Cape Canaveral, Florida. This was the first time an orbital-class rocket landed back on Earth after delivering its payload to space. It proved that reusing rockets was possible. After this success, SpaceX kept improving its technology. They added landing legs and grid fins to help control the rocket's descent and ensure smooth landings. They also developed drone ships like Of Course I Still Love You and Just Read the Instructions, which allowed rockets to land in the ocean when they couldn't return to the launch site. The next big step was the Falcon Heavy, first launched on February 6, 2018. The Falcon Heavy is essentially 3 Falcon 9 rockets strapped together, making it the most powerful operational rocket in the world. It can carry much larger payloads and even launched Elon Musk's Tesla Roadster into space. A standout moment was the recovery of 2 of the 3 first-stage boosters, which landed simultaneously at Cape Canaveral. This was a clear sign of how far SpaceX had come in perfecting rocket reusability. While the central core booster didn't make it back successfully on the first flight, SpaceX kept refining its techniques. Rocket reusability is partial, not full reusability. Initially, only the boosters were reused, while other components, like the payload fairings, were still one-time use. The fairings, which protect the payload during ascent, cost around $6 million each. SpaceX realized they were wasting millions of dollars per launch by not reusing them, so they began working on recovering and reusing fairings too. SpaceX started testing fairing recovery for their Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy rockets. In 2019, during Falcon Heavy's second successful mission, SpaceX recovered both halves of the rocket's fairing for the first time. Elon Musk confirmed on Twitter that both fairing halves were retrieved from the Atlantic Ocean without damage. Since then, SpaceX has successfully reused more than 300 fairing halves. Initially, fairing recovery was a significant challenge. These large structures were often discarded after their job was done, turning into debris. Early attempts involved using ships with large nets to catch the fairings as they descended under parachutes. However, ocean landings were unpredictable, and catching fairings midair proved difficult. Recognizing the need for a more reliable method, SpaceX allowed the fairings to splash down in the ocean and then retrieve them. Although this approach might not seem as impressive as midair catches, it is far more reliable and reduces the risk of damage to the fairings. The fairings are designed to be waterproof and undergo thorough cleaning and inspection after retrieval, including the removal of saltwater residue and refurbishment of damaged parts. To enhance the success rate of fairing recovery, SpaceX now uses specialized ships equipped with advanced tracking and recovery equipment, which has significantly increased the success rate of retrieving fairings intact. This method not only saves millions of dollars per launch but also contributes to SpaceX's goal of making space travel more sustainable and affordable. In the beginning, SpaceX used various ships to monitor and retrieve fairings. Initial attempts with ships like Ghost Searcher faced numerous challenges. In 2018, SpaceX introduced ships named Mr. Steven and Ms. Chief, fitted with large nets designed to catch the fairings midair. Despite several attempts, catching the fairings directly in the net remained problematic. Consequently, SpaceX transitioned to a more dependable method, allowing the fairings to land in the ocean and then using cranes and fast boats to retrieve them from the water. SpaceX equipped the fairings with attitude control thrusters and steerable parachutes to control their descent more accurately, increasing the success rate of soft ocean landings. By late 2020, SpaceX was routinely recovering fairings, with several fairing halves being flown multiple times on different missions. In 2021, SpaceX introduced custom recovery vessels named Bob and Doug, equipped with advanced cranes and nets designed specifically for fairing recovery. This method not only minimizes the risk of damage but also allows for quicker turnaround times for reuse. When we see a newcomer like SpaceX putting in tremendous effort to recover rocket parts and reduce costs, it raises questions about why government agencies like NASA aren't doing the same. Instead, NASA continues to use traditional, expensive rocket development strategies that cost billions and often achieve less than what SpaceX accomplishes. Take their Space Launch System, SLS, as an example. This rocket has been under development since 2011, and by the time it launched its first mission in 2022, NASA had spent roughly $23 billion on its development. In contrast, SpaceX developed the Falcon Heavy for about $500 million, with its first successful launch taking place in 2018. One of the most striking differences is the cost per launch. The SLS costs approximately $2 billion per launch, while the Falcon Heavy costs about $90 million. In terms of payload capacity to low Earth orbit, the SLS can carry up to 130 tons, whereas the Falcon Heavy can carry up to 70 tons. Despite the SLS's higher capacity, the Falcon Heavy's cost efficiency and partial reusability make it a preferred choice for many missions. Reusability is where SpaceX truly excels. The Falcon Heavy is partially reusable, with its side boosters capable of landing and being reused. The SLS, on the other hand, is entirely expendable, meaning every component is used only once. This not only increases costs but also has a greater environmental impact due to the need for more materials and manufacturing. SpaceX managed to develop and launch the Falcon Heavy in less time compared to the SLS, despite spending significantly less money. Furthermore, the Falcon Heavy has already demonstrated its reliability with multiple successful launches and recoveries of its boosters. And that's all for today's update. If you enjoyed watching and found it useful, please make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the like button. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.